Hi, I'm Dave Holt, President of RP Management. Today I want to talk about a few things to consider before becoming a landlord. Now I understand that becoming a landlord may not be your first choice. Obviously, you might be looking at selling your property, but the property value just isn't there. You might owe more on than what the property is actually worth, or you're simply being relocated out of the area quickly and don't have time to sell your property. So renting becomes a viable option. Now, here are some of the things to consider. Certainly, cost is very important, but let's look at some of the benefits. I mean, cash flow, certainly, but you have your tenant actually paying down your mortgage, so you're building equity by your interest. Your principal payments are being made by the tenant, and therefore your principal is being reduced, and therefore you're gaining equity. You can also depreciate the property, which can be certainly a tax advantage, and all the things that you're doing to the property can be tax deductible, and all the management costs are tax deductible as well. So the benefits can certainly outweigh, and if you have appreciation in the property, and certainly in this market right now as property values are appreciating, that's another benefit that you have. So if you look at the overall benefits, it can certainly outweigh the cost. A second thing to be considering is Section 121 of the IRS code, and it's one of these things that a lot of landlords, before they start renting out their properties, really don't consider. Now, Section 121 is the capital gains exclusion, and I'm sure you've probably heard that as a married couple, you can deduct up to $500,000 of capital gains in your property. As a single, up to $250,000. So there are some requirements, of course, and one of the requirements is that you have to live in the property 2 out of a 5-year period. Now, the importance there is that if you rent your property longer than, say, 3 years, you might void your opportunity to take advantage of that Section 121. So if you've lived in your property for 2 years and then rent it out for 3, that would qualify. So you have to consider that time frame of renting before you start, because you don't want to get into a long-term lease and now all of a sudden find out that if you've had capital gains that you can't take advantage of that Section 121. If you have no gain in the property, it's kind of a moot point, but it's something that you should still consider before renting the property. Rental licensing is another consideration. Now, in our area, the Twin Cities here, rental licensing is popped up all over the municipalities. I mean, every city practically has some sort of rental licensing, and the fees vary anywhere from $50 all the way up to $1,000 if your property is located in Minneapolis. So you have the application process that you need to go through, and in many of the cities they actually come out and do an inspection to make sure that your property is up to code, and as the landlord you're required to bring your property up to the maintenance code. So that's something that a professional management company such as ours could do for you, but things to be considering because it all comes into play. Now, I have met with thousands of owners over 30 years of doing property management, and I've made a list of the frequently asked questions and actually an audio video of that. So if you'd like to hear more about the things to consider before renting out your property, please contact me.